Hello, welcome to Tokusatsu Thursdays. Today, we're finally reviewing Super Sentai Zyuranger, also known as Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger, which that's not how the... If you watch the show, that's not how they pronounce it, but for some reason everybody calls it Zyuranger. I don't know why. Okay. Which aired in Japan in February 21, 1992, and ended February 12, 1993. Right. Okay, and it stars. Let's go on Tubi. That's where we watched it. It stars Yuuta Mochizuki, Aohisa Takayasu, Hideki Fujiwara, Takumi Hashimoto, Reiko, Chiba, and Jun Tatara, right? And it is obviously rated TV, PG, and it's an action adventure fantasy show, right? Which our first Super Sentai series we reviewed was Jetman, which was the Super Sentai series that was almost the first series of Power Rangers. This is the actual this was the first Super Sentai show to be adapted into what we now call Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I mean, have always called. Right, which is getting a new movie called Once and Always or whatever, and it looks terrible. Looks terrible. It looks like it has no budget compared to like the first two theatrical Power Ranger movies. I forgot what the first one was called, but Turbo was pretty good actually. I actually like Turbo. Turbo. I think pretty much the only reason why I like Turbo over the original is because Jason's actually in it. And for people who don't know, Jason's my favorite character, right? And it's bullshit what happened to him in the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers show, right? Because it was like the same thing that happened when on like Star Trek Voyager, when the hot chick joined the show and like it completely overshadowed the Captain Janeway. But unlike with that show, they didn't fire her Captain Janeway and replaced her with some random person. like what happened in Mighty Morphin, which is, oh my god. So yeah, this show had like 50 episodes, right? And I'm surprised to see the IMDb is 7.9 out of 10. I've always heard from people that this show, that in the Tokusatsu community, that everybody hated the show. It's an inferior copy. Sorry, it's inferior to the, to the adaptation that is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, right? Which I don't, honestly, besides from when I was a kid, I was never really huge on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Because they replaced my favorite character. For the same fucking reason people hate Death Note after L died. Basically the same reason why I don't like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers after they replaced Jason, right? All because, he called out Jason David Frank for bragging about being a real martial artist, which it turns out he was. he called him out, dude, you're a fake martial artist. At a time when there were a lot of fucking fake martial artists, like bragging, and there were, like in the 90s, like there were a lot of fake martial artists around. So it's like, is it that, like, guys, keep in mind, like when Power Rangers came out, that was only a few years after like the first Bloodsport, and when they were making like Frank Dukes movies, which Frank Dukes allegedly is one of the most famous fake martial artists in the world. Okay, so it's like it's not that like inconceivable that like Austin St. John had like had like the odds were in his favor. Okay, is what I'm trying to say, right? But yeah, so yeah. Well, now let's just talk about this show. So, Super Sentai Zyuranger is fantasy fairy tale dinosaur themed Sentai show, which is very weird to mix fantasy fairy tale stuff with dinosaurs. The implication being 170 million years ago, when dinosaurs were around, you had basically fantasy-style kingdoms and tribes that, like ancient civilizations that were around at the time that had like castles and like kingdoms and like fiefdoms and stuff like that. Right. So the show is about how in modern day Japan, right? This is like the 90s, like 90, 92. Astronauts go to the moon with like two kids who won a contest, and they find this mysterious like manhole cover thing, which the astronauts open the lid, and it turns out that an evil witch, Pandora, was sealed in there, who is the Japanese name for the Rita Repulsa character, right? Who that actress was in like 2 previous Super Sentai shows, and I think this was like the last one she was ever in. And she's this evil witch that almost destroyed the world 170 million years ago, right? And was sealed, and she has her... Not only is she free, but also her henchmen, which you have Gryffindor, who is the Goldar character, the weird, like, beast man with golden armor and sword, who doesn't talk right away. Like, he talks later when they introduce his wife, Lammy, right, who is fucking smoking hot in this show. You have Purry Leprechaun, who makes the the clay monsters and the golems, right? Who's kind of like an old man, like grouchy old man character. You have Bookback, who is a dumb blue orc thing, who's very funny in the show, right? And I love that he has his weapon of choice is like old-fashioned gunpowder pistol that he keeps in his bag, that he always has to rummage through his bag to find his pistol when he gets into fights. And you have Tot Pat, which is the monkey vampire, who has a very creepy episode where he stalks... He's a vampire, so you find out he's like part vampire, and there's like a creepy episode where he tries to drink the blood of young girls, only to get cucked by like a 10-year-old tomboy with a baseball bat, and proceeds to come up with a plan to try to drink her blood, and the Zyurangers have to stop him. So that was a very fucking sketchy episode. Which I thought it was like the Halloween episode, because it had a Dracula style monster, Universal monster kind of character. There's no like official Halloween episode, but there are episodes where they have like horror themed like monster, like the Frankenstein, like the Frankensteins in the show, right? And am I forgetting any other henchmen? Which you have Lammy, who's like the girlfriend of Gryffindor, who is like a scorpion monster, but she in her human form she looks beautiful, has a big boomerang weapon, right? But when she turns into a giant, she turns into an ugly monster. I think that's all the henchmen, right? So yeah, they try to they get released from the seal and are trying to take over the world, right? And it turns out that an old wizard who's masquerading as like I think he's like a janitor at a school, right, called Barza, who forgot. At first, they say he forgot all of his attack spells, but yeah, he does. But at the end of the show, it's like, oh no, he forgot all of his spells, and then he remembers some of them, right? So yeah, you have this old wizard named Barza, who has been keeping watch on humanity, waiting for the return of Bandora, right? It's funny, they keep calling her Bandora. It's in the subtitles Bandora, but it sounds like they're saying Pandora, right? It's Bandora, right? And he is actually in charge of this like shrine that has 5 warriors like sealed, right? And each of the 5 warriors is like a legendary warrior that's been put in stasis for in over 170 years, waiting for the return of Bandora, right? You have the Prince Geki of the Yamato tribe, whose guardian beast is the Tyrannosaurus, right? He's the Red Ranger. You have Knight Goshi, who is the Black Ranger. His guardian beast is the woolly mammoth, which they call the zoo mammoth. You have Boy, who is the you have Night Boy, who is the Yellow Ranger. He's not a girl like in the Mighty Morphin show. Whose guardian beast is a saber tiger. You have Dan, who is also a knight, who has like 2 short spears, right? Whose guardian beast is the Triceratops, right? And obviously the Blue Ranger. And you have Princess May, and I forget the name of her tribe, whose guardian beast is a pterodactyl, which they call the pterodon. I don't know. Right. So yeah, the show starts off with 5 rangers who are the warriors of legendary warriors. And what's cool about this show is like they always keep their like fantasy outfits, which look pretty cool in my opinion. There are episodes where they'll change outfits, right? Like there's an episode with May where she changes it to like different outfits, where she's like in a wedding dress, she's in a clown outfit, she's dressed like Chun-Li from like Street Fighter. Oh my god, I recently rewatched the Street Fighter movie, which I'm gonna review at some point. Which I'll post that, I don't know when. I'll probably post it before this review comes out, actually. Yeah, and obviously, like, this was, I think, I could be wrong, but I think this was the first Super Sentai show to have a 6th Ranger called Burai, who's also a prince, who's supposed to be like the the brother of Prince Geki. It's not that, it's kind of hard to, that episode was a bit fucking confusing where they introduced him, right? Which, just like in the American show, he starts off evil, but he becomes a good guy and joins the team. But what changes from the original TV show is that because he was a bad guy, he gets punished, right, and has to stay in like a room where time stops, and can only come out to help the other, the Zoo Rangers, right? And he only has like a limited time that he can, like, I think at first he only has like 25 hours that he can spend outside the time stasis room, or he'll die. Right? Which may or may not happen in the show. Who knows? Right. And yeah, what I really liked about the show is that it's so fucking like different from other tokusatsu shows. Like their fucking mechs in the show aren't just mechs. They're actually supposed to be their gods of their tribes. So there are points in the show where the guardian beasts, which are the mechs, will appear in the clouds just like in Lion King, and will like talk to them, and it always sounds like the same guy, right? Giving them commands or punishing them, right, when they fuck up, right? Sometimes, which one thing I really liked about the show when the show starts off is that they have like that they use actual weapons, and it's not just hand to hand all the time. Which eventually they got rid of them using their weapons all the time, which fucking sucked. Which was, man, because it's like but it's cool that like every time our characters get a power up, they have to do like a fantasy style. To get like a power up, they need to do a fantasy style quest, right? Which was pretty cool and kept with the theme of the show. Which obviously, what doesn't keep with the theme of the show is the fucking dinosaur shit. Which is like, holy fuck! There's like a running thing where like they need to, like there's like the last surviving dinosaur eggs that they need to protect from like Bandora, who wants to destroy them, right? And it's not until like the final arc of the show that they find out the real reason why Pandora wants to smash the eggs, because if the eggs get destroyed, dinosaurs will truly go extinct, and they won't be able to summon their mechs anymore. Which is like, what the fuck? For fuck's sakes, like, you know, 2 of the fucking mechs aren't even fucking dinosaurs. So it's like, what the fuck? Which I love the mechs in the show. Which there's one of the mechs, because you have like, you know, the individual mechs of the Rangers, and you have like the Dragon Ranger called Burai, who controls his dragon dragon Mecha Godzilla mech, which looks fucking awesome as hell. Called Dragon Caesar, right, with the flute. And the flute, oh my god, the music that comes out of the flute is heavenly, right? And later on in the show, they reveal, like, you know, that, you know, 3 of the Zyuranger mechs can combine with the Dragon Caesar to become like Gorzuzan or whatever, Gorzuzan, which looks fucking cool as fuck. And the drill tail becomes like a spear that will drill like fucking drill a hole through fucking the enemies, right, in the show, which are called Dora monsters, right? They're named after Pandora, which, oh my god, like her Pandora as a villain was great, because it's like she's evil, but she's enthusiastically happy over being evil. Though it's funny, it's fucked up. Like, you find they portray her as this. Oh, she wants to, like, you know, kill all the kids, make all the kids miserable, and even sing songs about, like, you know, bullying kids and shit like that. She'll dance when she dances. She'll dance like almost like a belly dancer, and she has the stupid, like, you know, like horn bra, which her boob armor is like fucking horns, which she'll like shake like a belly dance during her Pandora song, right? Oh my god, which I love the villains in the show. They're funny, even though that the one vampire Todd Pat is fucking creepy as fuck in that one episode, Right, but yeah, which there's like 2 or 3 episodes where you see Todd Pat and like Bookback in human forms, which I have no idea are the actual actors who wear the suits. The Todd Pat human form does look like he would be the same actor, right, behind the makeup, but who knows with the other guy, right? Because like Bookback is dubbed anyway, so it's they could have just dubbed some guy. Who knows, right? Yeah, I don't want to spoil too much about this show because I actually enjoyed this show. I kind of wish I didn't fucking rate like Jetman like so low. Well, I didn't rate Jetman low. I gave it like a 6.5 out of 10. Because like this show is not as good as Jetman, but it is a good show in my opinion. And I love like the fact that this is like that like they got actual mature like actors like Ghosh looks like he's fucking 30. And he like I love how like Jetman, the Black Ranger, was my favorite Ranger. In this show, the Black Ranger is also my favorite Ranger. Which even Pandora mentions how Ghosh is actually the real leader of the team, right? Because he's like the smart one and he gives advice. Though there's a thing where like during the action scenes, some of the special like kicks and shit, that you can tell they got like a different actor to do them, and it totally looks like they got Dan or Boy, because especially Boy's like the only one who can do flips. So and he has like he has like shaved legs, and he's about the same height as May. So like there are points where the camera's on May's back during action scenes where you see her do flips and shit, and I'm like, I just wonder, is that fucking Boy's actor in a way doing her stunts, which is very noticeable whenever they replace like Goshi's actor with a stunt actor, because like he's so fucking tall and he has short hair, right? So it's very noticeable, right? But overall, I love this show. I like that it was like they did the thing where it was a mix between arcs and episodic episodes, right? And the episodic episodes are fun. They do the typical thing where like they'll have like episodic episodes where they focus on one of the cast members, right? Yeah. And by the way, I think the special effects of the show looks good, right? It's on par, right, with the Jetman, right? But like I think like honestly the best part of the show is like I like the mythology they created, that they have like they obviously did. I think they did a good job with the world building of this show, right? Though there are problems. Like I'm gonna go to first I'll just list off my likes I have for the show. I like the world building. I like the characters. The costumes are great. The mechs are great. There's even like one of the monsters near the end of the show, right? Is a mech that looks like straight from fucking like like some weird like 90s Evangelion style mecha show called, what was it called? Dora Taros, which is piloted by like 5 people, right? 5 kids that one of the villains mind controlled. Which I forgot to mention that one of the villains in this show is straight up fucking Satan, who they call Die Satan, which in the subtitles they call him Great Satan, who shows up, I think around like he shows up like at the halfway point of the show, right? And comes back again for the last 3 episodes, right? And he was pretty cool, and it's like, dude, that he was a pretty terrifying villain, right? Especially if you look at like, because he's just like a floating head with spikes and shit. who fucking like shoots lasers out of his eyes, shoots breathes like this mist that turns you slowly kills you, right? Oh my god. And I love the build up they had towards Dice. I'm not gonna say Great Satan, Dice Satan, where Pandora, where they had to sacrifice 13 kids, right? And Pandora, there was a Gamma thing where Pandora and the spell was so strenuous that if she fucked up any part of the spell, it would kill her, right? And those were some fucking great episodes, almost as great. They were better than the arc where they introduced the evil Green Ranger, right? Best arc in the show was when they first introduced Dai Satan, and that's where they showed the final form of what is it called? Dai Jujin or whatever, right? Where he fuses with Dragon Caesar and the Beast God King, Beast Knight King Brachion, which is the white dinosaur mech. Which whenever they showed that Daiju, what was it called? Great Daijujin? I can't remember. Ultimate Daijujin. It always looked like a toy. So I was not a huge fan of the Daijujin form because it just looked like a toy. Honestly, the model just looked like a toy. But it's the thing where it looks like a fake toy, but what it could do was pretty cool, right? Where its special attack was just shooting cannons, fucking missiles and shit. The attack was called the Grand Banisher, right? Which I think the Gorjujin form mech was cooler, but it is what it is, right? Yeah, and I like the fact that they really they really developed the characters in this show, right? The characters got good character development. Now I'm gonna go with my dislikes with the show. The finale kind of sucked. It was very rushed, and it was just it did not hit the major problem with the show is it peaked. The show peaked very early. The final arc of the show was nowhere near as good as the part of the show where they first introduced Dai Satan, right? So that sucked. Like I said, some of the models looked like toys. There was some bad practical effects. Right, the ghosts, the ghosts. One of the characters dies in the show, and they show his ghost, and he's supposed to be floating in the air, but you can see wires suspending him, right? Him or her. Him or her, right? Which was not great. Yeah. That's my major fucking problem with this show, is that the show peaked too early, right? And then there's the thing where unlike with the Jetman, nobody really dies in the show except for maybe 2 people. Well, no, more than 2 people, but it's a lot of the times when people die, it's in flashbacks, right? Or if people die, they don't really show them. It's there were casualties, right? So yeah, there was some death censorship, right? But it is fucking crazy that our characters, one of the villains in this show was a kid, and they killed him, which is holy fuck. That was, it was the thing where he was resurrected, but it's wow, dude. That was hardcore. And I did think the reason why you find out the reason why Pandora turned evil in the first place kind of sucked, but overall, I like the show. I would recommend it, right? And it's free for on Tubi, so check it out. And I like the ending where like our characters mission got accomplished, and their reward was they went to heaven, right? Which I thought, they should have. The final scene should have been like when they got to heaven, they were reunited with their dead ally. That didn't happen. It just showed them going to heaven, right? With Barza. Barza was very underutilized in the show. He didn't really do much, honestly. I think you can argue that Barza did less than Zordon in the original fucking Power Ranger show, right? But overall, I enjoyed this show, and I would recommend it, right? And I am excited to watch Zyuranger next, though. But we're going to review some movies in between, right? We're going to... Tokusatsu Thursdays is going to go back to being a weekly podcast. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Peace.